guys, it's Gabby.
And I'm Maddie.
Today we're going to be discussing a little bit about
the fangirl impact then and now.
We read this book for the first time fairly soon after it came out. I read it first, I feel like when I was 13. I just told you how much I freaking loved it. You read it soon after and we both really enjoyed it.
I read it second semester of our freshman year.
I feel like this is the first Rainbow Rowell book we both read.
Yeah, we were really young when we read it. The main characters in this book are freshmen in college, and we read it when we were freshmen in high school.
Now, we're about 2 weeks away from starting our freshman year of college.
And we just reread it.
We just reread it together. We actually took turns reading it out loud.
Which I think made the impact all the more intense this go around. I read out loud more of it.
Because I was driving.
Reading it out loud made the emotional impact all the more strong.
You cried at
Yeah,
the end.
like there were 2 separate parts where I was just reading it out loud and I just started crying. I'm not a book crier. I cry when I watch TV because like Grey's Anatomy. You know, I can see it playing out, but with this, you know, like reading it out loud helped me actually, I don't know, I'm an actress. Reading it out loud helped me get into this mindset of this is how I would be feeling if I was in these situations. It was really impactful reading it out loud versus reading it in my head. The impact is very different now because we're about to go into our freshman year of college, so we've gained about 4 years of experience since then. The meaning of the book is very different for us from the first time we read it.
This is definitely my favorite contemporary book that I've ever read. I've read it multiple times. This is my 3rd copy of it. I own that one, I own the light pink one, and I just now bought this one so that Maddie and I could read it together before I go back home to Texas and then
Which is
to college. I really do love this book. When I first read it, I definitely related more to Kath, and I still relate more to Kath than any other character. If anything, Kath's character has gotten more realistic to me as I read it now. The social anxieties that she feels, like I can totally see myself doing the exact same thing in 2 weeks when I started college. How she didn't go to the dining hall for like over a month into college because she couldn't find it and it was too late to ask somebody where it was.
There's a window. There's a window where you can ask, and then past that window it's just awkward.
The connection that she feels with book characters. I've always related to Kath. I feel like when I read it when I was 14 or 15 for the first time, I was like, I see how she's anxious, but it's a little too anxious. But I feel like reading it now, I'm like, nah, that's like the perfect amount of anxious. I relate.
It's been a really long time since I read it, and I've read so many books in the interim that it's hard for me to remember exactly what I was feeling at the time, but I do remember that this happened at a point in my life where I was very anxious about my health because I had vertigo, but I didn't really know what it was, and my brain likes to jump to really scary conclusions when it doesn't know what's going on. But I remember loving it. At the time, it was really easy for me to relate to all of these anxieties because I was feeling so anxious at the time, and I still have a lot of anxieties now. Probably more, if I'm being honest, in a different way. No, not even in a different way. Still about my health, but I have grown as a person.
Have you, Maddie?
As a freshman in high school, I had a lot of anxieties too about fitting in because in middle school, I tried really hard to like fit in with the popular crowd. And then early high school, I kind of tried to do the same thing, but I felt like I was sort of maybe trying to come into my own. I kind of started relating to Kath in the sense of I just didn't really know who I was as a freshman in high school, you know? And I mean, who does?
I remember reading it for the first time and feeling like these characters were so much older than us, and that college was just super far away. Now, even being 2 weeks away from starting our freshman year of college, it still feels like they're older than us, which it shouldn't because they're the same age as us. Reading it and actually taking the time to like recognize the fact that these are our peers. I mean, obviously they're not real, but if they were real people, they would be our peers. It felt a lot more real.
I think neither of us have reconciled with the fact that we're going to college in a few weeks. I mean, obviously we know we are about to move into college and we are about to start this entirely new part of our lives, but it still hasn't sunk in yet. All of these decisions have been made and all of these very final elements of us going to college are here, but it just still hasn't sunk in yet. Fangirl captures all of the anxieties you have going into a new place very well. Though reading it now from the perspective I have, I feel like I've grown a lot in 4 years and my anxieties are no longer entirely social based as they were when I was younger because I was very concerned about fitting in, but now I feel like I have a very strong grasp on who I am. A lot of the times when I was reading this, I was very frustrated now because a lot of the things that she gets really anxious about, I was like, you could solve this very easily by saying a word or two. That's where I feel like I have changed the most, is that I relate a little bit less to Cather. I'm still anxious, but not as socially anxious as she is. Like I'm
still anxious,
I'm still anxious. There is no question about it. I find myself relating a little bit more to Ren in the sense of I'm very ready to start this next chapter in my life, and I'm very ready to make new friends and try new things and just experience things that college offers.
If we were twins, you'd definitely be the Ren. You said like even if we did go to the same college, you wouldn't want to room with me. It's like straight from the book, and I remember reading that and being mad at Ren. I'm like, that's your twin twin sister. They're supposed to do these things together.
The only reason I say that is because
the same exact reason that Ren said it, because she wanted Cather to be forced to like go out and meet new people.
Well, yeah. I just don't
like,
want it to seem like I don't want to be her friend.
Okay. I remember rushing through the Simon Snow parts to get to the Cath parts. This time I feel like I really relished the Simon Snow parts.
And why is that, Gabriella?
And then Maddie did read all the Simon Snow parts in a British accent. We read it together, which I feel like we read it around the same time the first time, but we didn't like read it together and talk through it. I am Cath still, except without a Levi.
Reading this, I was like, I want to take a fiction writing class so badly, but it doesn't fit in my schedule. There is one offered. It overlaps with like 2 of the classes that I'm taking, so I can't take it, but I'm going to try my hardest to take it next semester because I love writing so much. That was one of the things that this book renewed in me, a desire and a very intense passion to write. The way Rainbow Rowell writes, the way Rainbow Rowell's writing makes me feel is the way I want to make other people feel when they read my books.
I like how Rainbow Rowell doesn't write characters with perfect figures. Levi, the way she describes him, he almost doesn't sound attractive. His character and his personality that makes him super attractive.
Like he's all limbs and basically is balding.
And Cath has very large hips. Reagan's really pretty, but she's really tall, like really big. And that's something that I appreciate. You fall in love with the characters anyway. It's not like the reason you like other characters is because they look good.
Yeah.
She writes characters that are so lovable, but also like so much more real than a lot of the other characters
and
that
very
you read.
Flawed. That's my favorite thing about Rainbow Rowell's characters, that they all are flawed. We can recognize that there are lots of things that Cath does that are extremely unhealthy. Surviving off of granola bars for an entire month or 2 of school and peanut butter, not approaching conversations and talking about things that need to be discussed.
Yeah.
I really appreciate flawed characters. Everybody's flawed.
It helps you see yourself in them. I feel like the reason that I really loved this book was because of Cath.
It's a very likable book. The last bit of the book wraps everything up really nicely. I read the end of it and I just started crying. It's not even like a very sad ending. It made everything feel kind of cyclical. Freshman year to freshman year. Reading this book with my best friend 4 years later, I just felt very cyclical and I felt very right, and you know, just kind of helped remind me why I read and why I write and why it's so nice to have a best friend by my side who does those things. In summary, when I read Fangirl when I was a kid, I related really hard to Cath because I had a lot of social anxieties back when I was a freshman. I related more because I was so very heavily in the throes of the fandoms at this time period. Reading it 4 years later, I relate more because I am on the cusp of this new period of my life, and that is enough.
To conclude, I related to Cath most when I was 14, and I still relate to Cath most now. It may help me not be so afraid to ask questions and like recognize the fact that I'm not the only new person at college. So
I think everybody should read this book.
You're
Just
like-
for Rainbow Rowell's dialogue.
that was the Fangirl Impact Then and Now from the ages of 14 to 18 rereading it. I'm Gabby.
I'm Maddie.
Thank you so much for watching.
If you like this video, give it a thumbs up.
Subscribe to our channel.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.